Hello, hello, and hello. Welcome back, everyone. Mr. Minority here with another Heroscape tier ranking video. This time, this is my favorite set of all time. Okay, and it's not just by a little bit. This set was like the country marker, right? The measuring stick with which all other sets were measured against for me, and as you know, a kiddo. Whenever Heroscape went out of print, or is going out of print more or less, or just decreasing its presence in stores, me and my brothers would joke when we saw something like a store or supermarket saying everything you expect plus a whole lot more. We would always say, but does it have Ragnar's vision? And eventually we kind of generalized that to Heroscape, but you know, you get the point. So yeah, Ragnar's vision. And then the very first thing I ever was able to spend money on, $25 Visa gift card. This was it. I think this was my very first ever transaction. I was so happy. I forget where I purchased it. Was it House Mouse Gaming or something? They don't exist anymore, but you know, that may kind of date me. In terms of when I was able to date me. Yeah, in terms of when I was able to get. But yeah, really love this set. Again, Dawn of Darkness may be my second. I'd have to like kind of go through it, but there is no doubt in my mind these big bad and brutal warriors. I still remember the verbiage on that box, you know, 10 plus years later. This set is my favorite by so far. So let's get into it, shall we? Let's get into it. And I'll actually start at the back with, to me, by far the worst figure, and it's a strong B, Theracus. I think it'd probably be a little bit more cool if it were maybe like a unicorn, but I still like the Griffin. This Griffin's pretty darn cool. Pretty basic though as well. The ability is carry. Again, if you have a very vertical board, then it's only going to increase the utility of Theracus. Very, you know, as you can tell by the points in the attack, defense, and especially life stats, this guy's going to fall pretty quickly if he's attacked. But that's not why he's, you know, that's not what he's meant for. He's meant for support, and especially for more powerful ranged figures, you can do squads, but since you can only carry one at a time, you're going to have to be going back and forth. So depending on where they're coming from and where they're going, it might, you know, take you a little longer than you want to. But especially for ranged powerful heroes like the samurai hero archer Kamen Awa, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, he's a great choice to combo with Theracus. And yeah, and you can only, again, carry smalls and mediums. You can't carry larges, so no death walkers. That's going to break poor Theracus's back. But again, pretty simple. Maybe that's why it's a little lower, Theracus. But man, and it's only going to go up from here. Really like Theracus overall. Not awesome, but again, because he is standing amongst giants, maybe a little bit more literally, then he kind of seems to be the kind of eyesore, relatively speaking. Still great. Braxis, excellent dragon. We're going S tier. Love Braxis. One of my favorites figures in Heroscape. For multiple reasons. Love the design, love the dark kind of dragon, but also it's the only dragon that's more kind of like the ribbon-like dragon. Now, we didn't get any true kind of Chinese-looking design dragons here. This is kind of as close as you get. I guess you could kind of consider Subak No, but Subak No is, you know, only bones, so, you know, of course there's no meat on the bones. But Braxis, one of the tallest figures in the game. In fact, I think the tallest movable figure, the immovable figure of Marohive's technically the tallest, is a huge 17, but huge 13. Just, again, talking about the design aesthetic and the design choices with, you know, how it works in the game in terms of the special ability, the poisonous acid. Really like it. It makes it kind of like, again, like a mind shackle sort of thing where heroes kind of approach her and it's like, I don't think I'm gonna die, but I could die. And I don't think, to be honest with you, Poisonous Acid Breath has worked as intended in terms of it being like a steamroller thing. Maybe if it's rolled once, you know, and it's, you know, oh yeah, that's great. But generally speaking, it's more of a wild card sort of thing. So the points may be a little bit heavy to 210. In my opinion, I think is what Braxis is worth. Massive life though, second most in the game. Strong attack, which is nice because unlike Grimnack is really annoying because he has that kind of fear, that ability that puts fear into them, kind of like the Poisonous Acid Breath special attack. But then unlike Grimnack, Braxis can actually defend herself if someone goes up to her, whereas Grimnack just engage him with a regular hero, even one who's not all that great. And if he can't chomp them, then he's going to be borderline worthless. Just sitting there unless he disengages or something. Braxis can actually provide a good wallop with a 5 attack. Now the 3 defense is where she really suffers. If she had the 4 defense, I think her points would be a bit more justified because she's obviously going to be a huge target across the battlefield for range figures, especially squads. And although that is a ton of life, that is not high defense, you're going to get whittled away pretty quickly. So Braxis, it's not super meta, I would say overall, because of that high point cost, but it's a very fun figure to play, especially in a very large battle. Again, more of a glass cannon sort of scenario, but really like the design, really like the ability, really high up there. Okay. Jotun, or Jotun, I don't really know how to pronounce it. I'm actually not really sure if he is higher or lower. I'm going to go a little bit low because I really love dragons, but man, love this giant design. First and only giant in the base Heroscape game. Don't really want there to be necessarily a whole lot else because, again, maybe one more. But, it's nice to have, again, these kind of unique figures, which, again, in the base game, you had 1 dragon per side. Again, if you don't consider Subakna a dragon, and I like that. Having a limited quantity to kind of give us the idea that these are rarities and that they are powerful and not your common squads, literally. So Jotun, the most expensive character in the game by 5 points, beating out Torkelna. Is he worth it? Not really. He does have a, kind of a sweeping or clearing move, which is kind of nice. But it doesn't really balance out how lopsided his points are. Highest attack in the game, base attack in the game. Okay, gotta point that out. 8 walloping attack, and if you see those giant hands of his, do I have a joke about that? Excellent sculpt as well. Braxis is such a great sculpt. Jotun is such a great sculpt. All the sculpts in this set are just, should I dare say flawless or perfect? I do not use that word that much. This set is borderline perfect. Again, if they beefed up Thericus maybe a little bit more, but again, I got you understand. I understand you don't have to have tons of power creep or anything. And then again, they are high points, so they may not be viable. Or always viable, but yeah, very near perfect. Jotun, awesome design. Love it that again he's not just a human that's bigger. He has characteristics like the larger, hands, a kind of quote unquote uglier face, according to what many legends or myths would have, and then the kind of lack of a neck, shoulders up, Great design, great design. I will say the sword though is kind of maybe a little bit of a negative because it does kind of bend. It's not super strong. In terms of his throw abilities kind of nice. It can be strategically done again, either against enemies or even for friends. If you throw them on like a major height advantage or something, you can also throw enemies into lava, assuming there is lava, and things of that nature. So pretty nice. The Wild Swing special attack again is kind of the token giving him something for clearance for squads because he's going to be totally worthless against squads. If he can't attack squads, he just has to wallop a poor Blade Grut with 8 attack or something, so he would definitely not be worth it. But even so, I wouldn't say he is that worth it. But he is beefier than Braxis. Is nice. He does have 1 less life, but he does have 1 more defense. Now, 1 more defense when you're rolling multiple times is really probably going to come into play because 3 defense is just you don't feel safe with it. 4, you don't feel as safe with it, especially if you're being attacked a lot, but you do feel more, decently more safe. At least I do. Again, it depends on what kind of composition your enemy team has. If they just got some few strong attackers, then that life's really going to play out. But then, if you're rolling a lot of times for lots of squads, that one defense is really going to come into play the more and more you roll. So really strong figure. Love the giant. Love the design. Love that he's for Ular. What's not to like? Going on with the strength. Major Q9. I'm going to put it up here. To me, he's the clearest, weakest of the spoiler alert. My favorites of the set. But I really like the design. Now, in terms of meta, he's up there. He is up there. 180 points, massive, but he's worth it. In fact, I think I'd have to, again, I don't script these things or look through them, research them at all as much. But I think he might be the most worth it for the highest price. Like, there's no one who's higher than him who's really worth it per se. Again, depends on the armor composition, but Major Q9 is really, really powerful. I think, in fact, he's been banned in many tournament settings. He's just that good. Why is he that good? You say he only has one ability, unlike all these other guys. Well, let's take a look at the stats first. First, he's got the 4 life. Not that good, below average. 5 is average. Movement, 5, not that great. But then his range is pretty good. And then tie that with his attack is pretty good. And his defense. So the defense coupled with his life. So he has 4 life, 7 defense. That is a lot of defense. That's like, again, it's like a brunette, but then with 1 more life. And he's attacking from a distance. That's really big. But if that weren't enough, he's got this, I believe it's pronounced Queglix gun special attack, which is like the Saber Storm that we talked about earlier with the ninja. Was that Moriko? I was about to say Kamiko. I think it's Moriko. You get 9 dice, and you can do any combination of attacks, 1, 2, or 3, as long as you get to the 9 dice. So you could do like 3, 3, 3. You could do like 2, 2, 2, 2, 1. Different, whatever combination you want. So this gives a lot of versatility depending on who you're against. You could be going against a ton of 1 defense squads, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna go for the 1 or 2 attack depending on however many targets are in your range. Or you could have beefier squads and just go for 3, 3, 3. So a lot of versatility with that. Just this guy is a monster. And then of course, if you want to attack a single strong target, you attack them just with your regular attack, and you're probably going to have 5 attack due to height advantage. Though he is double spaced, and with the movement of only 5, he's not going to be getting anywhere too fast, especially if he has to climb. Yeah, really great figure. I like the design a lot. It's kind of interesting that he has the huge, bulky shoulders, and then the head's like way down set there. And that he's also, I think he's also the only figure in the base one, I'd have to look at this, who's like totally perpendicular to where his orientation of the base is. Like guys like Jotun and a few others are kind of Ask Ants, they're kind of to the side, but I think he's the only one that's like just totally facing perpendicular, as opposed to the other direction that most of the other 2 space figures are facing. So anyway, a little bit of a trivia there, if it indeed be a trivia. So really like him. But let's get on to Nilfium. Now, Nilfium, I would probably say, is one of the best designed figures in the game. In fact, we got him right here, I believe. Yeah, we got him right here. Now, unfortunately, this one's leaning a little bit. We got Nilfium right here. Ice Dragon. He's a huge 12, so huge guy. Very intimidating on the battlefield, especially with these very large wings. And I will say, though, when you get him on the battlefield, he can be a little tricky to place sometimes because these wings will get in the way of especially lower terrain like height 1 and 2 that are adjacent or close to where he's trying to be. So keep that in mind. But if he's on like an overpass, then he's just hanging his wings over. That's okay. But love the design. One of my favorites. Ice Dragon. It's awesome. Great attention to detail. Very intimidating. I really like, again, besides the chars, which I mentioned in the last video with Orm's Return, I really like the designs of the dragons in this game, especially their, not just the way they look, but also their size, compared to humans, and the fact that, again, they're just so rare, in terms of, a battlefield presence and all that stuff. It just really I think you can tell, I'm head over heels, and have been since 2007, or 2006, excuse me, I think is when this set came out. In terms of stats, Nilfium or Nilfium, how you pronounce his name, is more viable, I would say, generally speaking. Again, depending on what the composition of the enemy armies is than Braxis. Nilfium, almost always when I've chosen him and gone against him, has always pretty much pulled his weight. It's a good 185 points, and now it's as good as Major Q9's 180. No, probably not, but it's still very good. So, kind of like Major Q9, though, he does have the Ice Shard Breath special attack, which gives him versatility in attacking. It gives him range as well, which is nice because with some of these other guys, like a Jotun or whatever, you might get on high advantage. Well, of course, Jotun doesn't have flying, but then you can only maybe challenge the heights. You can't really shoot down on the guys below you once you have the height, if you do. But with him, you have the versatility, so that's really nice. Again, this is generally speaking, assuming that there's some pretty high advantage, like maybe major height advantage going on. And the thing is about him, yeah, he can attack long range, but then if someone wants to go up to him to try to challenge, his positioning, you thought Braxis was tough. Yes, he has 2 less life. He has 6 life, which is above average, but he has a walloping 6 attack and 4 defense, so he's going to be a little tougher, definitely on the defensive side. Life, it depends, kind of on the trade-off there. That's not as clear-cut, I would say, as the Jotun 7 life and 4 defense versus Braxis, the 6 life, 4 defense. But that attack of 6 is massive. That's the massive one where it's going to hurt, But the thing about him is, that's a very high attack, but then his special attack, our Shard Breath special attack, being able to attack with those, basically, I think it's basically like a triple attack with 4 dice. It's massive. It's massive. Or is it double attack? I can't remember. But yeah, it's a really good choice, and you kind of can fall between either of those in terms of attacking melee wise or ranged, and it's going to be a really good potentially attack. So I think that just about does it. I think I've basically pruned this setup enough, sung enough praises. I can't keep praising it. If I would keep recording, I just could be singing its praise for another 10 minutes. I really, really love this set. It is, again, by far my favorite Heroscape set, at least in terms of figures. I'm about to say overall as well. Really, really strong set. I'm not going to be doing a Quills Alliance because I don't have a Quills Alliance. Just in terms of the aesthetics and just quickly as an anecdote, and the way I see them and the way they kind of function, I really like them. I would place a Quills Alliance below Raknar's Vision, but above Orm's Return. I really like Zelrig. I really like Sujoa. I think it's Wusaga is the large Maro kind of warmer snake is pretty good. And then Zelicron's a bit of a disappointment. He's okay, but based on the other ones, he's kind of a disappointment. Guri Ori, whatever, he's okay. If I had to rank them real quick, I'll just go ahead and do this bonus round. Zelrig would be S. Sujoa would be S. I really like Sujoa. I really like the kind of animals and insects. I grew up really loving insects. And then Wusaga would be an A. Giri Oni, the ogre, would be a B. And then Zelrig would also be a B, but lower B. No, it's a B lower. I'd say he's pretty low on the B scale. Because I think with the Omicron snipers, there's a lot more potential there. He kind of looks odd. It's like, does he really look like he's, in with the Omicron snipers? But anyway, so bonus round with the Aquilus. But again, love this set. Spotlight is on Raknar's Vision. don't let that take it away from this particular set. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Heroes